Hello everyone, this is Russ from the academic publishing class. I have put together a short presentation on book reviews, and I hope that you can hear me okay because my microphone is a little bit grainy, but we will persevere nonetheless. So I like this quote on book reviews. I think it captures the task fairly well. First, there's no single recipe for book review. You can read 10 different examples and find maybe 6 or 7 different ways or formats of doing the book review. The examples on Blackboard are indicative of this. Dr. Freeman and Dr. Croth, they each have different styles and different approaches, but it works. Nonetheless, there are 3 components of a book review that seem to come up no matter who's writing, and I've underlined them here. The first is you want to identify, summarize, and discuss the ideas in the book. Second, you're developing an original argument about its key contributions or flaws. And third, you're establishing its connections to the wider academic and policy literature. I'll come back to each one of these later on. So what is a book review and what isn't it? Well, it's not a book report. Rather, it's a thoughtful analysis of the text. It's not a chapter log or a chapter-by-chapter overview of the book. Rather, I like to think of it as a curated overview. Like if you were taking someone through a museum that is the book, what would you point out? What would be the interesting aspects or the most relevant and engaging aspects of that museum for your visitor or for your reader? It's not a sales pitch, obviously. It's rather a respectful evaluation of the strengths and weaknesses. And it's not an isolated view of the book, but it's a situating of the book in context with other work in the field. In sum, you are creating a resource for the readers. You want to give them enough detail and perspective that they can make an informed decision on whether to read the book or not. Okay, so before you write, as our readings have indicated in the class, you want to begin with the end in mind. You can think of a journal or an audience that would be most receptive to your writing, and then craft the writing accordingly. Next, practice deep reading. This means really engaging with the text as you read it, making notes, asking questions, and analyzing as you go along. Finally, as our friend Sylvia says, outline and pre-write. This will save you time when you get to the writing phase. Okay, the first component of the book review. Basically, you are giving a broad overview of the contents of the book. So think of what your reader wants to know about this book. Who's the author? What are the main points? What are the key ideas and claims and conclusions that come out of this book? You don't have a lot of space to go into detail on these, but you'll be giving, you're setting the context for your reader for the book. It's enough information to be dangerous. How about that? The next component is perhaps the most important. This is where you develop an original argument. As you recall in the readings, Maki and McAvoy talk about 2 different types of arguments, an argument of discovery and an argument of advocacy. You can think of the first step as the argument of discovery, where you are giving the current state of knowledge that this book represents. In the second step, you are developing an argument of advocacy. You are critiquing that state of knowledge and talking about the gap that exists between reality and the ideal or the perfect. So you're going to give an evaluation of the book. Does the book accomplish its purpose? What are its strengths and what are its weaknesses? And as you do this, do it in a respectful manner, of course. and engage with your audience. Finally, you want to give an overall assessment or recommendation of the book. Now, you may also want to think about how you can recast the knowledge from this book for your reader. And what I mean by that is taking the information that the author gives you and reshaping it in a way that will aid your reader to understand the main points of the book. For example, as you read, maybe you saw 3 different themes come out in the text, and you want to explain the book in that way. Or perhaps you have a unique perspective or experience of your own that you can bring to bear on the topic. That's what Dr. Croth did as he wrote his book review. So all these things will work together to form your thesis or your main argument for the book. The third component of a successful review is establishing connections to the broader literature. You are setting the book in context for your reader. Now, what I mean by that is, first you want to situate the book in relation to other literature. For example, I did my book review on being an academic leader in higher education. And I went and found what were the other popular or well-known books around the time frame of my book. And I found 4 books, and I referenced each one and just made a comparison point on certain issues to my book. I didn't have a lot of space to go into detail about those 4 other books, but they were useful as reference points so that the reader could understand where this book sits. And then you want to expand the lens and situate the book more broadly in your field. What is the relevance or the key contributions of this book to your field? In my case, it was that most of the literature in higher education leadership has to deal with senior leaders in higher education. So your deans and your provosts and presidents. But my book really represented mid-level leaders and the daily issues that they face. That's where I felt its real contribution was to the field. Lastly, you want to situate the book in the context of current debates in education. So for me, it was thinking about a current issue in higher education right now is, do we move our schools of our higher education study programs into business schools? Because there's so many skills that have to deal with management and leadership and organizational behavior. So I related my book to that current debate. You want to be thinking about, why should an educational researcher or educator care about this book? A couple words on style and tone. So compared to other aspects of academic writing, this is a fairly flexible project. There's no rigid approach to doing a book review. And that can be kind of fun. I enjoy doing these. I think it's a chance to break free in some ways and to really express yourself in your writing. The key thing here is readability. You want the text to come alive and to move along for your reader. So maybe you want to have a hook at the beginning. You want to avoid tangents or getting stuck on a particular topic, but keep things moving along. And as you use quotes or examples from the book, try to keep these short so that things keep moving for your reader. Your audience is educated but not a specialized audience, so be careful of jargon and things like that. Okay, benefits of book reviews. I think this is a low-threat way to ease into academic writing. It helps to develop skills in synthesizing and creating an argument, and it is a way to jump into the dialogue in your field. Specifically for this class, it can help you in your annotated bibliography and your peer-reviewed paper because you'll be pulling out sources that you can later reference. And finally, it's a relatively easy way to get published, but the caveat there is, compared to other forms of peer-reviewed writing, book reviews are lower on the totem pole, so you'll want to use your time accordingly. That's it for me. Good luck on this assignment, and if you have any questions, please reach out. I'm available most any time to connect with you. Good luck.